I never thought betrayal could taste like champagne and wilted roses. But there I was, minutes from vows, when my phone lit up with the end of my world, effective immediately. Your employment at Hale Tech is terminated for gross misconduct. My boss, Victor Hale, the silver-tongued serpent who'd groomed me for greatness, hadn't just fired me. He'd leaked the memo to every major outlet, painting me as the corporate thief who'd embezzled millions. And the kicker? It was all a lie I'd swallowed to protect him. The man who'd been more father than mentor for a decade. As the organs swelled in the cathedral behind me, I slipped into the vestry, heart pounding like a war drum, and whispered to my reflection, "You bastard. You have no idea what's coming." But Victor did know one thing. He'd buried his secrets deep. And I dug them up years ago. That misconduct, it was his fraud. A web of offshore accounts siphoning investor funds into his private jets and Hamptons estates. I'd taken the fall once before, in a smaller scandal, because he promised redemption, a corner office, the keys to the kingdom. Instead, he dangled carrots while sharpening knives. Today, on the day I was finally escaping his shadow to marry Alex, my rock, the U.S. attorney whose indictments had toppled lesser empires, Victor struck to silence me forever. Little did he know, the altar waiting outside wasn't just mine, it was his guillotine. I straightened my veil, the lace biting into my palms like tiny accusations, and stepped back into the nave. 300 guests, family, friends, Hale Tech execs who'd flown in from Silicon Valley turned expectant faces my way. Alex stood at the altar, tall and unyielding in his tux, his green eyes locking on mine with that quiet ferocity that had first hooked me in a Georgetown bar 5 years back. He was the power I never had, son of a senator, brother to a lobbyist, with a Rolodex that could summon FBI vans on speed dial. Victor thought he was untouchable, a kingpin in boardrooms from New York to Palo Alto. But Alex? He was the storm Victor had spent a lifetime outrunning. As I walked the aisle, petals crunching under my heels like brittle bones, my maid of honor, Victor's own niece, the unwitting Trojan horse, slipped me a note. He's watching from the back pew. Says it's a final gift. Rage boiled up, hot and metallic. But I smiled for the cameras, the ones Victor had no doubt tipped off. The officiant began, words blurring into white noise, until it was time for the rings. Alex's hand trembled, just once, as he slid the band over my knuckle. "Forever," he murmured, but his eyes screamed questions. He didn't know yet. No one did. The reception was a glittering farce at the plaza, crystal flutes clinking amid whispers that snaked like smoke. "Did you hear? Lily's out. Hale Tech's golden girl. Caught red-handed." I circulated, cheeks aching from false laughter, while Victor held court in the corner, his Armani suit a second skin, toasting my fresh start with a smirk that said, "You're done." Alex pulled me aside in the coat room, his cologne sharp as pine. "What the hell's going on?" I saw the headlines on the way over. I told him everything then. The floodgates cracking, the fraud, the frame job, the decade of loyalty repaid with a pink slip on my wedding day. His jaw set like granite. "We'll bury him," he said, simple as ordering coffee. But even as relief washed over me, a shadow lingered, Victor's eyes on us from across the room, calculating, always 3 moves ahead. We slipped out early, Alex's driver gunning the Bentley through Manhattan's neon veins toward our honeymoon suite at the Beekman. I leaned into him, the city lights smearing like accusations on the windows. "You really think we can take him down?" Alex's laugh was low. Dangerous. Lily, I've got dirt on half of Washington. Victor's just another domino. But doubt not at me. Victor wasn't just rich. He was woven into the fabric, campaign donations to both parties, board seats on think tanks, a Rolodex bloodier than Alex's. And me? I was the expendable one. The orphan from Ohio who'd clawed her way to VP of operations on his coattails. That night, as we tangled in silk sheets, thunder rumbling over the East River, I dreamed of swaps, of lives traded like stocks in a bear market. Victor's empire for my freedom, his throne for my noose. I woke sweating, Alex's arm heavy across my waist, and checked my phone, voicemails from reporters, texts from colleagues offering pity paychecks. Buried in the spam was one from an unknown number. You think marriage saves you? Enjoy the fall. Victor. Always the poet. The next morning, we flew private to Napa, Alex's family vineyard, a sprawling Eden of Cabernet vines and fog-shrouded hills. It was meant to be reset, a fortnight of forgetting, but the headlines followed like hounds. Hail Tech heiress flees in disgrace, blared the Post. Heiress? I'd earned every dime. But Victor's spin machine painted me as the spoiled protege turned pariah. Alex paced the terrace, phone glued to his ear, barking at assistants, "Get me the SEC filings." Cross-reference with Cayman Records. I watched him, love twisting with something sharper, gratitude, yes, but also the thrill of impending war. For the first time, I wasn't the victim, I was the spark. But Victor wasn't idle. By day 3, the lawsuits hit: breach of contract, theft of trade secrets, demands for repayment that would bankrupt us both. Alex's team countered, but the stress etched lines around his eyes. We argued that night over candlelight, me pushing for scorched earth, him urging patience. Rushing blindsides us. Lil. We play smart. Smart. I'd played smart for years. And look where it got me. Fired. Framed. Forgotten. On day 5, we drove into San Francisco for a strategy session at Alex's firm. Traffic choked the Bay Bridge, fog swallowing the Golden Gate like a bad omen. That's when it happened, the freak twist no algorithm could predict. A Hail Tech prototype. Some neural interface gadget Victor had rushed to market despite my warnings. Malfunctioned in the lab I'd once overseen. A hacker, anonymous, but smelling of Victor's desperation, triggered a remote surge. The news broke as we hit the city limits. Explosion at Hail Tech's R&D wing. 2 dead. Tech vaporized. We didn't know the half of it. Alex dropped me at the office while he chased leads at the courthouse. I wandered the halls, ghosts of my old life, until I ducked into a conference room for a breather. That's when the dizziness hit, a vertigo like the world tilting off its axis. My vision swam, colors bleeding, and suddenly, I wasn't me. Or rather, I was, but not in my skin. The mirror across the room showed Victor Hale's face staring back, salt and pepper hair, hawkish nose, those cold blue eyes now wide with my panic. Lily screamed, but it came out as his baritone growl. His hands, clawed at the reflection. Body swap. Impossible. Yet here it was, courtesy of that cursed neural rig. It must have glitched across the ether, minds leaping bodies like sparks in a blackout. Victor, wherever he was in my body, probably raging in some had no clue I'd hijacked his vessel. But I did. And oh, the power. I stumbled out, hailing a cab to the vineyard in Victor's chauffeured Escalade, his key fob buzzing in my pocket. The driver didn't blink. To him, it was just the boss, brooding as always. By nightfall, I was back with Alex, cloaked in Victor's cologne and cufflinks. He poured scotch, oblivious. Victor called. Sounded off, apologetic. Even. Said he dropped the suits if you came back to clear the air. I laughed, Victor's timbre rumbling deep. Let him stew. Alex eyed me him, curious. But the wine flowed, and so did the lies. I fed him scraps, access codes to Victor's servers, passwords whispered like sins. By dawn, as he slept, I raided the safe, documents proving the fraud, ledgers I'd memorized but never held. The swap held, a fragile truce with physics. Victor, in my body, surfaced in Napa 2 days later. Lily, bandaged and bewildered, claiming a migraine mishap. Alex bought it, hugging me tight while I, Victor, watched from the shadows, plotting. But I was steps ahead. In his body, I liquidated assets quietly. Stocks dumped, shell companies dissolved, donations clawed back. The board noticed ripples, calling emergency meetings where I stonewalled, blaming market volatility. Power, real power, wasn't in the throne. It was in the unseen pull of strings. Controversy brewed fast. Leaks hit the wires. Hailtech CEO in meltdown. Erratic behavior raises questions. Reporters swarmed the vineyard. Alex, fielding them like a pro. My wife's fine, he'd say, arm around Lily, Victor, who seethed silently. I played the penitent mogul, granting interviews where I confessed to aggressive tactics, hinting at internal audits. But the real knife? I greenlit probes into Victor's inner circle, his CFO, arrested for insider trading, his lobbyist, caught in a honey trap I'd orchestrated via Alex's contacts. Innocence got singed. Sure, a junior analyst lost her job. A rival firm folded, but war's messy. I told myself it was justice. But late nights, staring at Victor's reflection, I wondered, was I becoming him? The climax crashed like a wave on the Sonoma coast. Victor, trapped in my slight frame, confronted me in the vineyard's barrel room, the air thick with oak and ferment. Give it back, you bitch, he hissed. My own voice a stranger's weapon. Alex hovered outside, phone in hand, ready to call in the feds. I circled him, Victor's bulk a shield. You took everything, my career, my trust. Now I take yours. He lunged, clumsy in heels, and we grappled amid the casks, spilling Merlot like blood. In the scuffle, truths spilled too, the swap's trigger, the fraud's depth, millions not just stolen, but funneled to experiments on desperate immigrants, neural wipes to silence whistleblowers. Alex burst in, cuffing Lily to a pipe as sirens wailed. It's over, Victor. But the twist gutted us all. As cops hauled him away, Victor laughed my laugh, brittle and broken. Ask your husband about the prototype. Lily. Who do you think funded it? Who greenlit the trials? Alex's face drained of color. The power I'd leaned on? It was rotten at the core. Turns out, my groom-to-be had buried his own skeletons, backroom deals with Hailtech, kickbacks for looking the other way on earlier scandals. The wedding ring on my finger, Victor's finger now, felt like a noose. In the end, the swap reversed under hospital lights, mine snapping back like rubber bands. I woke in my body, bruised and me again, while Victor ranted in restraints. Alex confessed that night, on our knees amid Napa's vines. I did it for us, to build something unbreakable. Love or lie. The courts debated it for years. Victor's empire crumbled. Alex disbarred, me testifying in rooms that echoed with what-ifs. Was it revenge or ruin? I got my freedom, a quiet life in Ohio with scars as souvenirs. But the mirror still whispers, who won? Really? The betrayed. Or the betrayers we became.
No.
That wasn't the end, not by a long shot. The reversal hit like a freight train, my consciousness slamming back into my own skull amid the sterile beep of monitors. Nurses hovered. Alex's hand, cold now, in mine, murmuring apologies that tasted like ash. Victor was already in federal holding, his lawyers circling like vultures. But the damage? It spiderwebbed out, cracking foundations I'd never questioned. I spent weeks in that Napa clinic, piecing together the fracture, not just the swap, but the man I'd pledged forever to. Alex, with his Ivy pedigree and prosecutorial fire, had played both sides, cozying up to Victor for intel while plotting his downfall, all to protect me. I was building our future, he'd say, eyes pleading. But futures built on quicksand sink fast. Discharge day. I walked out alone, the autumn sun mocking the chill in my bones. Alex waited in the lot, roses in hand like some rom-com cliché. But I brushed past. Drive me to the airport. The flight to Columbus was turbulence incarnate, mirroring the storm in my gut. Ohio welcomed me back with gray skies and flatlands. The house my parents left me a time capsule of simpler hurts, high school yearbooks, mom's quilt, dad's tool bench gathering dust. I holed up there, ignoring pings from New York, Alex's voicemails, Victor's cease and desists via courier. The news cycle chewed us up. Body swap scandal rocks tech titan, hallucinations or hack. Pundits debated ethics. Late-night hosts cracked jokes about bridal possessions.
Me?
I debated survival. Revenge. I'd learned in Victor's skin. Wasn't a sprint, it was a siege. Step 1. Documentation. I'd memorized every file from that safe. Account numbers, witness names, the immigrant testimonies Victor's tech had erased. In my body again, I couriered copies to the Wall Street Journal, anonymized but airtight. The first exposé dropped a month later. Hail Tekka's hidden horrors, neural abuse and corporate greed. Stocks tanked 40%. Board members jumped ship. Victor, from his Riker suite, sued for defamation. But his barbs glanced off. I was the ghost now. Untouchable. Controversy? It bloomed like kudzu. Protests clogged Silicon Valley streets, signs reading "Swap the suits" and "Justice for the erased." I watched from afar, sipping black coffee in a diner booth, as activists unearthed more. Hail Tekka's trials on undocumented workers. Mines fried for product testing. Humanitarians hailed me a hero. Conservatives decried it as woke witch hunts. Alex called it karma. I called it calculated. But the real debate raged inside. Had I, in Victor's body, crossed lines?
Idée autorise de surveillance en innocent.
Leaked rivals' secrets to kneecap competitors. One exec, a father of 3, ate a bullet after his firm's collapse. His widow's letter arrived weeks later. You destroyed us for your vendetta. Sleep evaded me then. Ghosts in pinstripes haunting the quilt. Alex showed up unannounced that December, snow dusting his Burberry coat like dandruff.
Lil.
We need to talk. The kitchen smelled of canned soup. My life pared to basics. He looked wrecked, hollow cheeks, the power suit hanging loose. The feds are circling me too. I need your help. Help. The word curdled. We argued till dawn. Him painting pictures of joint testimony. Me hurling the roses he'd brought into the sink. You used me, Alex. Just like him. He didn't deny it. Just cupped my face. Thumb tracing the bruise from the barrel room brawl. I loved you enough to risk it all. Risk. What a pretty word for betrayal. I let him stay. Weakness or weapon, I'm still not sure. We fell into old rhythms, mornings tangled in sheets, evenings plotting over takeout Thai. But trust? Shattered like that prototype. He fed me scraps from his old life, DOJ contacts willing to cut deals, senators spooked by the fallout. In return, I shared the swap secrets, not the how, but the why. It lingered in nightmares. It changed me, I confessed one night. Rain lashing the windows. I tasted power, and it was poison. Alex nodded, but his eyes gleamed, ambitions flicker. Unquenched. Spring thawed the ice, and with it, the trial. Victor's arraignment was circus, flashbulbs popping in Foley Square. Protesters chanting outside. I testified in a plain pantsuit, voice steady as I recounted the fraud, the frame, the swap's surreal horror. He stole my life twice, I said, locking eyes with him across the courtroom. Victor sneered, thinner now, his empire a husk. But the twist I dreaded? It unfurled in cross-exam, recording surfaced. My voice, Victor's throat, authorizing those ruthless moves. MS. Harper. Did you, as Mr.
Hale,
order the unlawful surveillance? The gallery gasped. Alex shifted beside me. I'd done it. Yes, for revenge. But admitting it? That was the controversy's crown. Was I avenger or accomplice? Jurors deliberated for days. The nation glued to feeds. Cable news pitted me as martyr versus monster, feminists rallying for sister solidarity, fiscal hawks decrying vigilante economics. Alex whispered strategies in hotel bars, his hand on my knee possessive. We spin it, trauma response.
trauma.
As if words could stitch the rips. Verdict day. Thunderheads brewed over the Hudson. Guilty on all counts: fraud, endangerment, conspiracy. Victor's face crumpled. Not with remorse, but rage. You'll rot with me, Lily, he bellowed as marshals dragged him. Sentence: 25 to life. No parole. Cheers erupted outside, but I slipped away queasy, the weight of justice leaden. Alex proposed again that night, on the courthouse steps, ring glinting under sodium lamps. Marry me for real this time. No shadows. The power he promised? Tainted, but tempting. I hesitated, the city's pulse mocking my pulse. Give me time. He nodded, but I saw the fracture, love eroding to leverage. Back in Ohio, alone again, I rebuilt piecemeal. A TED Talk on ethics in tech, ironic. Paying bills. A memoir deal. Ghostwritten confessions that flew off shelves. But the swap's echo? It warped everything. Dreams of boardrooms where I wore Victor's face, barking orders that echoed his cruelty. Waking, I'd check the mirror, pinching my cheeks to confirm, Lily, not him. Summer brought the final reversal, not in body, but truth. A package arrived. No return. Flash drive. Labeled The Real Architect. Alex's face filled the screen. Audio logs spilling. He'd commissioned the neural rig years back. Not Victor. A side hustle with black market coders. Testing on volunteers to build his prosecutorial edge, mind wipes for witnesses. Swaps simulated for interrogations. Victor knew. Sure. But Alex? He'd pulled the strings. Using our engagement to infiltrate Hale Tech. Me as unwitting bait. Betrayal squared. I confronted him in a DC cafe. Rain sheeting the glass like tears. You made me the monster. He blanched. Stammering defenses. It was to expose him. To save you. Lies. All of it. The power I'd craved? It was his illusion. A cage disguised as wings. I walked out into the downpour, hailing a cab to nowhere. The trial's hero? A farce. Victor rotted. Alex faced disbarment hearings.
And me?
Free. Finally. But hollow. Revenge's aftertaste is regret, they say. But mine was revelation. Power corrupts. Swaps or no. I drove west that fall, toward canyons where echoes die quick, chasing a horizon without husbands or tycoons. Happy? Tragic? You decide. In America's grand, gritty theater, endings are just intermissions. Intermissions? Hell, they're preludes to encores you never auditioned for. By fall's end, I'd traded Ohio's flat forgiveness for the Southwest's jagged absolution, a dusty adobe in Taos, New Mexico, where artists once bled canvases and shamans still whispered to the earth. No Wi-Fi. No Wall Street Journal subscriptions, just me, a typewriter from a thrift shop, and the Sangre de Cristo Mountains staring down like judgmental gods. The memoir stalled at chapter 3, words failed where flesh hadn't. I'd avenged Victor. Appended Alex. But the woman in the mirror? She looked like Lily Harper.
VP dropout.
But felt like a mosaic of stolen selves. Locals called me, the writer from back east, spinning yarns over green chili stew at the Sagebrush Inn. They didn't pry. New Mexico's got that baked-in indifference, but rumors percolated. The tech scandal. The courtroom drama. The man who'd trailed me from D.C. Like a bad debt. Alex. He found me in November. Boots caked in red dirt. Pounding on my door with a bottle of Napa Cab and eyes like storm clouds. I sold the vineyard. Proceeds are yours if you'll hear me out. Hear him? I'd heard enough to indict. But the cold bit deep, and pity's a sneaky warmth. I let him in. We talked till the fire sputtered. Him unspooling the full rot, his father's Senate seat greased by Hale Tech packs, his own experiments born of ambition's fever. I wanted to be the fixer. Lil, the one who cleans the messes, so we could have clean hands.
Clean.
As if neural probes on the vulnerable left residue only on the probed. I laughed, bitter as the Pinot. You swapped my pain for your pedestal. He reached for me. And damn if muscle memory didn't respond. Lips meeting in the lamplight. Bodies remembering what minds rejected. One night blurred to a week. Then a month of uneasy truce. Him chopping wood. Me typing furious missives to lawyers tying off loose ends. Controversy followed like exhaust. Alex's disbarment hearing leaked tapes, not mine, but his, wheedling donors. Coaching perps on plea deals. Pundits pivoted, from prosecutor to pariah, fallout from the swap siren. Feminists who'd crowned me icon now dissected my complicity, op-eds questioning if I'd wielded Victor's body with too much glee. Forums buzzed. Lily's no victim. She's Vengeance 2.0. Debatable? Absolutely. I'd greenlit takedowns that orphaned kids. Justified as collateral. but in Taus's thin air. Ethics thin too, survival's gray. And I'd survived. Victor's appeal hit in December. A Christmas gift wrapped in legalese.
From Supermax.
He petitioned for retrial, claiming duress from the swap, insanity plea. Essentially, his lawyers subpoenaed me, depositions in a Santa Fe motel that smelled of mothballs and regret. Under oath, I relived it, the vertigo, the mirror's betrayal, the barrel room melee. Did you intend harm? Ms. Harper, the silk-stocking attorney probed. Intent. Such a slippery eel. I intended justice, I said, but my voice cracked. Justice for the immigrants whose memories I'd glimpsed in Victor's fragmented drives, erased lives. Families adrift in border town limbo. Alex prepped me. Role-playing cross-exams over diner pie. Stick to facts. Emotions sink ships. But facts were fiction scaffold, the swap undocumented, the fraud pinned on ghosts. Victor's team unearthed emails, mine, sent from his account, authorizing the very probes that fueled protests.
See?
She became him. The courtroom, when it reconvened in Albuquerque Federal, crackled with tension. Activists picketing with neural net effigies. Tech bros live tweeting from the gallery. Judge Ruiz, a no-nonsense Latina with eyes like agates, banged the gavel.
Order.
This ain't a TED Talk. Testimony dragged, experts on consciousness transference, shrinks labeling it mass hysteria. Victor took the stand, gaunt in orange, spinning yarns of possession. She invaded me. Your honor stole my will.
Lies.
Theatrical as a B-movie. I countered from the box. Voice honed by Taus winds. He invaded first, my trust. My future. The swap? Karma's cruel joke. Jurors shifted. Faces a Rorschach of doubt. Alex watched from the back. His presence a thorn or talisman, depending on the hour. The real bomb dropped mid-trial. A whistleblower. One of Victor's array subjects, a Guatemalan coder named Marco. Mind half-wiped but fury intact. He shuffled in on crutches, testifying in halting English. Hail tech take me recuerdos. For what? Profit. His story gutted the room, nights in labs. Electrodes buzzing. Dreams of home supplanted by static. Victor blanched. I wept silent tears. Controversy peaked. Cable panels erupted. Was Hailteka's fall worth the human cost? Pro-lifers decried playing God. Libertarians shrugged. Caveat emptor for wetbacks. Ugly words. Uglier truths. I'd avenged. But at what price? Marco's grin at recess. Gracias. Senora was partial payment. Bittersweet. Alex and I fought post-hearing. In a arroyo under star-pricked skies. You're slipping back to him, he accused. Meaning Victor. Ruthless. Unyielding. I hurled a rock into the dry wash. And you're the saint? Your experiments started this. He grabbed my wrists. Kiss turning to clinch. Then let's end it together. Run.
Lil. Canada.
Mexico. Anywhere. Temptation tugged. The power couple's last stand. But Dawn clarified, power's the poison, not the panacea. Appeal denied, life. Affirmed. Victor's wail echoed down the feed. A tycoon's dirge. Celebrations soured quick. Marco's deportation loomed. Ice fans idling like bad omens. I pulled strings, Alex's last favor, securing him asylum papers. Small wins. Stitching the quilt. Winter deepened. And with it, decisions that divided. Alex proposed a third time. On New Year's, fireworks blooming over the Rio Grande. No empires. No schemes, just us. The ring was simple. Turquoise inlay, like Taos earth.
I said yes.
Controversial as confession. Was it love reborn or habits haunt? Friends back east gasped, Stockholm much? While locals nodded, knowing reinvention's grit. But the swap's shadow lingered. Dreams swapping faces mid-kiss. Alex as Victor. Me as the erased. Therapy unpacked it, Jungian archetypes. Trauma loops, but pills dulled edges without sharpening truths. We married quiet. In a Pueblo chapel. Sage smoke curling like questions. Vows exchanged. In sickness. In swap. Laughter.
Tentative. Honeymoon?
A cabin in the Pecos wilderness. Where cell service died and secrets starved. Yet power's pull persisted. Offers trickled, consulting gigs. Biopic rights. I demurred. But Alex itched, podcasts on redemption arcs, whispers of political rehab. We could change things, he'd say. Eyes alight.
Change. The word that birthed the beast.
Spring unearthed the penultimate twist, a letter from Victor. Contraband via a guard's niece. You think you won? The rig's blueprint, Alex's gift to me. He swapped us to frame you. Paranoia or prophecy. I dug. Hacking old servers with Marco's help. Code tracing to Alex's Georgetown days. Partial truth. He'd seeded the tech. But not the intent. Victor twisted it. Desperate smoke. Still. Doubt-seated. Was my husband redeemer or recidivist? We confronted over Easter brunch. Huevos rancheros cooling untouched. Tell me everything.
He did.
Haltingly. Youthful hubris. A thesis on neural ethics gone rogue. I buried it for us. Buried. Like secrets under vineyard soil. Forgiveness? Debatable doctrine.
Chose vigilance.
A marriage of monitors. Summer bloomed contentious. Alex's podcast launched. Swapped souls. Me as silent partner. Listeners devoured. Debates on identity. Revenges ROI. Royalties funded a foundation. Neural rights now. Aiding the erased. Marco chaired it. His accent thickening boardroom air. But tension simmered. One night. Storm lashed. Alex confessed the core. I loved the power more than you. Once. Past tense. Or pivot. Ipexibate. Dawn's light gilding the decision. Fix yourself first. He didn't chase. Good. Taos exhaled as I drove south. Toward Big Sur's cliffs where Pacific meets precipice. Alone again. But authored my story. Unswapped. Big Sur's edge was therapy's antidote. Waves gnashing granite like grudges unresolved. Sea otters bobbing oblivious to human tempests. I rented a A-frame perched on the bluff. Salt air scouring the staleness from my lungs. No typewriter now, just a laptop for emails. The foundation's pulse keeping me tethered.
Marcos Raiv.
Grants flowing for clinics in border towns. Minds mending where Hail Tech had marred. His updates warmed. We save one. Senora, it's victory. Victories. Plural. Eluded me still.
Alex, es podcast crested charts.
His voice, once my anchor, now a siren's call to strangers. He texted sparingly. Miss you. Working on me.
Work.
As if souls were spreadsheets. Controversy crested too. A wave I rode from afar. A Netflix doc. The swap heist, greenlit with dramatized neural zaps and actors who looked nothing like us. Backlash brewed. victim groups boycotting for trauma porn, tech ethicists praising the necessary expose. I consulted unofficially. Script notes via encrypted chat. Less gore. More grit. The director. A Sundance darling. Probed. Lily. Was it empowering or emasculating in his body? Empowering. The word hung. A half-truth. Victor's frame had armored me. Yes, boardroom bluster flowing easy, but emasculated?
No.
Elevated. I'd wielded phallic power. The gavel. The glare. The gate that cleared paths. Yet shedding it? Liberation laced with loss. Summer waned. And Victor's final gambit landed. Suicide watch lifted. He penned a jailhouse manifesto. Smuggled to Vanity Fair. The woman who stole my soul, a tycoon's lament. Pages dripped venom, me as harpy, Alex as puppet master. The swap as feminist fever dream. Sales spiked, book clubs dissected over Chardonnay. Is Lily villain or Victor? Debatable divinity. I responded in The Atlantic. Op-ed titled, Bodies as Battlegrounds, not lament, but ledger, debts paid in full, though interest accrued eternal. Alex arrived unannounced in September. Surfboard under arm like a peace offering. Surfing's my therapy now. We paddled out at dawn. Swells lifting us like confessions. Between sets, he spilled AA meetings, a shrink unpacking daddy issues, the podcast pivoting to accountability arcs. I'm sorry, Lil, for the blueprint, the blindness.
Waves krasst punktuation. I dove under.
Emerging clearer. Apology accepted. But trust? That's the rebuild. He nodded, water beating his lashes. We didn't kiss, just shared the horizon.
Tentative tandem.
Power's phantom haunted still. Foundation board meetings via Zoom. Donors wary postdoc. Marco pushing expansion. We go national. Lily, erase the erasers. National meant DC. Meant Alex's orbit. Controversy loomed. Partnering with his rehabbed brand? Whiff of nepotism. I greenlit it anyway. Controversial calculus. Ends justifying, means. Again. Fall foliage turned big certifier. Mirroring the flare-up, Victor's appeal for compassionate release. Citing irreparable neural damage from the swap. His lawyers cited my Atlantic piece. Twisting empowerment to evidence of mutual madness. Hearing in Monterey Federal. Gallery packed with gawkers. I testified last. Voice steady. Damage? He inflicted it first, on me. On hundreds. Victor.
Via video link.
Rasped. Look at her. Your Honor. She's me now, ruthless. The irony landed like a slap. Judge denied. But not before a recess where Alex cornered me in the hall. He's breaking you still.
No.
Victor was mirror, I was the glare. Post-hearing, we drove Highway 1. Windows down. Eucalyptus whipping past. Alex proposed, fourth time. Ringless. On a pullout overlooking the Bixby Bridge. No power plays. Just partnership. I laughed. Wind tousled. You're persistent. Yes was easy this time. Unadorned.
Wedding?
Eloped at the post office. Clerk officiating amid stamp rolls. No veil. No vows, just signatures sealing the sequel. But twists, as Shakespeare knew, come in threes. Winter solstice brought the reversal's echo, a lab in Berkeley. Ethicists reverse engineering the rig. Accidental swap on grad students. Panic rippled, media frenzy. SEC halts on neural tech. My phone blew up. Marco. Panicked. Alex.
Strategizing.
I stepped in. Foundation leading the inquiry. No more ghosts. Coverage hailed Harper's redemption, but skeptics sneered. From inside job to oversight queen, the real gut punch? Victor's death. Heart attack in his cell. January thaw. No note. Just a will bequeathing scraps, a Hampton's key to the thief who taught me loss. I burned it on the bluff. Ashes scattering to the Pacific. Grief? For the mentor myth. Maybe. Rage?
Exhausted.
Alex held me that night. Our A-frame creaking in the gale. It's over.
Was it?
Power vacuums fill quick. Hailteka's remnants rebranded. New CEOs peddling ethical AI. Spring greened the cliffs. And with it, our uneasy equilibrium. Alex's podcast folded. Him pivoting to pro bono, defending the erased in immigration courts. I expanded the foundation. Clinics from Taos to Tijuana. Marco my right hand. Controversy simmered low. Op-eds on revenge's long tail, wondering if I'd birthed a bureaucracy or bomb. Pregnancy hit in June. A surprise amid boardroom battles, a boy. We learned, kicking like he owned the womb. Alex glowed. Hand on my belly. Our legacy untainted. Untainted? Optimism's opiate. I dreamed of swaps then, tiny minds leaping, powers inherited. Woke sweating, but smiling, life's the ultimate twist. Labor came fierce. Big Sur hospital humming with coastal calm. He arrived screaming, red-faced like Victor mid-rant, but eyes mine, green-flecked. We named him Elias, after no one but the sea. Alex wept. I held firm. The power now primal, not boardrooms, but this beating heart. Years blurred. Elias toddling cliffs. Marco visiting with tales of tribunals won. Alex testified for reforms. Neural bands passing Congress narrow.
Me?
I wrote the book full. Unhosted, swapped, a reckoning. Bestseller. Yes, bestseller debates too. Cathartic or cash grab? Readers wrote, you gave me courage to swap my silence. Ending? Happy subjective. Victor gone. Alex redeemed, mostly. Me, mother. Maven. Maybe mended. But in quiet nights, Elias asleep between us. I traced the scar from the barrel brawl, wondering, did revenge restore? Or just rearrange the ruins? America loves its underdogs triumphant. But truth's tensor, power's a swap we all make. Bodies or no. Debated over coffee, I'll be here. Watching waves. Writing the next act.